Jai Gurudev. This video's dedicated to the divine grace of Bhagavan Nityananda and Baba Muktananda. After coming into contact with Siddha Yoga, my life has changed so much for the better. Sometimes in my earlier years, there were hurdles to jump and many bumps in the road. But through it all, there's been two consistent qualities that have kept me company, even to this day. I'm known in my family as a giver. My father always said I took after his mother, my grandmother, as she was renowned for gifting. Many times I would give away things I needed or really liked, but that's just my nature. Later I discovered my other blessing, and that was being lucky. Sally, my younger sister, had noticed this and would say to me throughout the years, "You're so lucky. You're the luckiest person I know." With these sweet words, she unknowingly gave me the courage to keep moving forward instead of going backwards. As I'm sharing my experiences, I feel it's important that people know where I'm coming from. I'm not seeking praise or for others to approve of me. I'm just relating two incidents, hoping this will inspire you to similar ideas that it's taken me years to discover. Throughout my life, I've sought strength and guidance to help against negative odds or mind-threatening forces. This seeking is not to be better or greater than the next, but to find that love, that treasure inside my own heart. At times, I discovered the biggest challenge I've had was my very own self. I've learned that what you feel, you attract. What you think, you become. And what you imagine, you can create. Thoughts and words have energy. Once you change the way you speak about yourself, you change your life. As I create and manifest feelings of love, I realize that each and every one possess the tools needed to expand their awareness to positive instead of negative. Whatever you can conceive and believe in, then you can achieve it. This has worked for me many times, and I've come to understand that the mind is a magnet. When I think of blessings, I attract them. And the same goes for problems. If I let my mind go there, the negativity comes barreling my way every time. It's not that easy, and I find that I have to continually keep a check on where my mind goes throughout the day. It sounds cliche, but the universe responds to the frequency you're vibrating in. For example, when I was younger, I was vibrating at the frequency of hurt, humiliation, and feeling helpless. So this was what I attracted. Then I changed to a higher, positive energy of love, forgiveness, and abundance, and discovered I attracted those things. It's similar to a radio station. You tune in to the music you like, So in the same way, you tune in to the energy you want to manifest in your life. Change your mindset, the prescription of your glasses, and you can definitely change your life. Our inner self is the only property we have control, and so it's up to us to make it good or bad. One cannot control others' loyalty or opinions. No matter how true you are or how much someone means to you, that person can change their feelings several times, even in a day. I realize I'll never be good enough for some people, and I've finally given up trying. I feel if I can flip the negative to positive, I'm much further ahead than wallowing in grief or self-pity. There's a saying that tickles me. Even if one can walk on water, there'll be those who question, "Hey, don't you know how to swim?" So, no matter what, you can't please everyone. So this leads to my first small miracle or lucky moment in my life. As a young girl, I was on the swimming team, winning many ribbons and trophies, like a fish in water. One year on my family's vacation, we had gone to the ocean in Florida. My mom and dad were never strong swimmers, so they didn't venture that far out. There'd been a big storm the day before, but on this day the ocean seemed calmer. All of a sudden, the waves started getting bigger very quickly. When I glanced to where my mom had been, she was nowhere to be seen. I could hear my dad shouting and gesturing, and then her head suddenly appeared, but immediately went under again. I wasn't that close, but I quickly dove in and swam with all my might, getting to her just in time. We were out over our heads and the waves were crashing. I started pedaling really hard as I lifted her up so she could breathe. And then I swam her back to safety. There had been a big undertow that day that took us out really quickly. I can still remember that look in my dad's eyes of relief and gratitude. It was a thankful moment for all of us there. As the years passed, I became aware of small incidents occurring. There were times when I'd be needing something, a safety pin, a hair barrette, or extra change for a purchase. And while out walking, I would look down and like magic, they'd appear. At first, this was a big surprise, but after many occurrences, I became more used to it. When I was old enough, I decided to seek a job as a stewardess, a flight attendant. That way I could fly free and also see the world. I applied for an appointment and was sent a free ticket to Miami, Florida for my interview. This was so exciting, and I was booked in the first class section. Sitting next to me was a nicely dressed, distinguished man He asked me if I was from Florida. I told him Tennessee, but that I was going for an interview with Eastern Airlines. He seemed very interested and asked lots of questions. Right before we landed, he shared with me that he was the vice president of Eastern, and he had decided to hire me on the spot. As we got off the plane, a limousine was waiting on the tarmac for him, and he invited me to go with him to the headquarters building. There we had a delicious lunch together, and afterwards I signed the needed paperwork to begin my career as an airline hostess. By this auspicious meeting, it saved me from the long queue of girls waiting to be interviewed, weighed, and measured amongst the chosen thousands of applicants. This was just the beginning of a lovely friendship, and we met again on several occasions for lunch and once a meal with his family at their house. My first home base as a flight attendant was in Queens, New York. It was a small suburb that I enjoyed. I became familiar with the shopkeepers on my walk to the subway to catch my flights. Many times they would come out of their shops to wave and greet me. After some time, I became friendly with a girl who flew with me. She was living out in Levittown on Long Island and asked if I'd like to move there and become her roommate. This seemed like a new adventure, and I agreed. I then returned to Tennessee to purchase a car so I could drive in from the long commute to catch my flights. I'd always wanted a convertible, but knew they were too costly. The first dealership I stopped at had a shiny orange MG Midget convertible sitting there in all its glory. I asked the salesman about it, and he said I was in luck. The people who'd custom ordered it had changed their mind as the color didn't suit them. He said he'd give me a big discount if I bought it, and so I did. My brother Larry drove with me from Tennessee to New York to teach me how to drive a stick shift. One of the perks of being a stewardess at that time was I got free tickets for my immediate family. After arriving and spending a day together, I flew him on my pass back home. One thing I really liked about living in New York was if I had 1 or 2 days off, I'd fly to Acapulco, Mexico, as it was close by and they had nonstop flights. It's known as a popular resort town, and I loved it very much. It was colorful, very vibrant, and reminded me later of India. Many times my mom would fly with me on my free tickets, and this became an enjoyable time that we spent together. Later, she'd also accompany me again 2 or 3 times back to Mexico, to San Juan, Puerto Rico 2 times, Hawaii 2 times, and Michigan, her hometown. She loved it. I'm sharing a photo of one of our trips to Acapulco, where we went on a cruise. I was asked to participate in one of the drama shows that was put on. She enjoyed watching me perform and said many times that her trips with me meant the world to her. My father was a doctor in mathematics and very busy at the university, so he couldn't go, but was really happy that she got to enjoy herself. This next happening was a life changer for me. Another year had passed and I got a promotion with Eastern Airlines to move to Miami, Florida and be in the beautiful sunshine near the ocean where I could swim every day. While flying as a hostess, I could get the same route for a month by bidding my schedule, and this also included the same crew members. I liked this as I could become friends for a longer period working together. One month, I flew with this lovely attendant who had a wonderful nature, shining face, and a great disposition. As we became friends, she related to me that she was into yoga and participated in Transcendental Meditation by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. A few years later, I would meet him in person and go to his beautiful ashram in the mountains of Switzerland. But that will be for another video. In those years, there were a lot of hippies, people who believed in free life, free love, reading self-help books, Be Here Now books, and trying to find the answers to why am I here? Who am I? And who are you? So I'd heard of meditation, and I'd sure heard of the Beatles, who were into TM. But I didn't have an inkling what it was about. I didn't know the basics of meditation or becoming spiritual. Most importantly, I witnessed firsthand what I saw and felt when I was around this spiritual person, my fellow flight attendant. And I knew that I wanted that too. I attended several of the TM classes in Florida and could feel a big difference in my attitude. As I was hyperactive with tremendous energy and an extreme nature, this helped to calm me down. It was a beginning. After several months, I decided to take it further and become a teacher, hoping to help others with similar problems as me and to find that feeling of inner love. The class for new teachers was being held in Colorado Springs in a large TM center there. My former roommate from New York had previously moved, and she loved it there and invited me many times to come and visit. So I booked my flight and was on my way. It was a wonderful, magical paradise. I'd taken some due vacation time and had 2 blissful weeks before the conference began to enjoy the breathtaking mountains, glittering snow, yummy Mexican food, and hectic ski lessons. It was downright fun in this high-octane and energetic atmosphere. While waiting for the classes to begin, I received a call from the TM Center that the course had been canceled, regretfully, and they would be rescheduling it in the future and contact me with the new itinerary. At first, I was really disappointed, but later came to know that this was my good karma. At that time, I didn't realize it, but when I got back to Miami, Charlie, my then boyfriend, had been to see a yogi who'd come to town. His name was Swami Muktananda. Charlie gone several evenings to the programs and enjoyed the lively speeches and Baba's lively nature. He got the name Ganapati from Baba, which is a very auspicious one. He told me what a great saint and professor of yoga that he felt Baba was. I became very excited that I might get the chance to meet a living guru, a real teacher of the truth, which was very rare in those days and still is now. Baba had left Florida and flown to Texas, where he was holding an intensive. Afterwards, there would be a country retreat in Dallas, Texas. Ganapati found a lady and her 16-year-old son who wanted to drive from Miami to Houston and asked if I wanted to go along with them, sharing expenses. I still had some vacation time left and decided to go for it. So by the TM program being canceled, I was very fortunate to be on my way for a life-changing experience. My first meeting with Swami Muktananda. This took place in the year 1975. I'll also be sharing these incredible incidents and my new life with Baba in videos to come. For my final story, I'm going to skip years ahead to share a touching incident that means so much to me. In the early and late 90s, after Baba's Mahasamadhi, I tried to go often to visit Guru Mai when she was in New York at the South Fallsburg Ashram. She was first named Malti, and then when Baba gave her sannyas, she was Swami Chidbalasananda, and later her loving devotees gave her the name Guru Mai. During that time, she sent for Venkapal Anna and Bose Shastri to come to America. Venkapal had been Baba's manager at Gurudev Siddhapeeth in India. When I lived there throughout the 7 years with him and Baba, Bose Shastri was the head Brahmin priest, and he was doing Vedic mantras in America for Guru Mai. This was wonderful news for me, as I miss him a lot, even calling Venkapal several times on the phone from the United States to India over the years. So when I finally met him after this long time, he was so surprised, and he laughed and he said, "Ah, Krishna's fat. Krishna's gotten bigger." I had put on weight, that's for sure, since those years in India. He then took me to the room where Bose Shastri was doing his Vedic mantras, and it was just so good to see them in America. That afternoon, we were standing in the foyer when Guru Mai came out. I was next to Anna, and she stopped by to talk with him. Then she turned and said to me with a big smile, "I think Krishni comes here to see Venkappa more than me." She knew how much I loved him and how much I loved her. Later, Venkapal called me to his room and gave me several gifts. A small murti of Bhagawan Nityananda, a globe with snow falling and Baba's photo, and a gold bracelet he took off his puja. He said that Guru Mai had put it on his wrist on Raksha Bandham Day, Rakhi Day. This means bond to protect. As he put it on mine, he said he always wanted me to wear it. One day, when I was in Florida, he called me from New York. He mentioned he was going to come visit me in Daytona Beach. I was so surprised and so happy. They drove all the way and he arrived with Viju, Indrajit, and Ramdas. I fixed them lunch and presented them with gifts, and we had a wonderful time together. I think he enjoyed being in America and experiencing a totally different culture. Guru Mai would have him share many of his experiences while living in the ashram in India and with Baba, and he even learned to speak some English. A while later, I decided again that I wanted to go see Guru Mai at the Sri Muktanand Ashram in New York. It was another birthday for me. Baba always made a big deal on the birthdays, and so did Guru Mai. She kept up the tradition. As I didn't have enough money to fly, I called the bus station. It was quite reasonable, so I bought a ticket and off I went. It was a long trip, as the bus seemed to stop at every small junction. It took almost 2 days to get there. 20 hours of driving on the bus, and then when I got to New York, I had to get transportation from there up to the ashram. When Guru Mai had heard it was my birthday from Swami Kripananda, she arranged a small party for me. I was so thankful when I finally arrived and could meet with her. Later on in the day, she sent for me, and I met her in a small darshan room. She called me forward and said, "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to Krishni." I bowed down, and when I looked up at her, she pinched my left cheek quite hard. I thought this was interesting because I'd always had some blockage on my left side. Growing up, I'd been a tomboy and had fallen out of a tree and broken my left arm. And once while riding on a bike, I'd fallen and dislocated my left shoulder, breaking my collarbone in the process. Also, while young, I tripped over on the front porch some glass milk bottles, resulting in many stitches on my left side. So this was so incredible when she had pinched my left cheek, and I thought, well, she must know that there is something there. She replied that she'd heard I traveled a long distance by bus to see her, and she was going to fly me back home with the airlines. What a wonderful prasad. She then took a beautiful amber necklace that was strung on gold off a picture of Baba on her puja and placed it around my neck. She called one of her assistants to bring me some specific presents that she dictated. When the assistant came back to the room, she had a huge stuffed bear, a teddy bear, and a gift bag. The bag was full of Guru Mai's tapes, 4 miniature frame photos, and several small printed books. On my flight home, the seat next to me was vacant, and the bear filled it like a person. I was given great prasad from Baba and Guru Mai that day. There's a saying by Meher Baba, desire for nothing except desirelessness, hope for nothing except to rise above all hopes, want for nothing and you will have everything. Baba used to say, of all the creatures in the world, a human being is the highest. Why is human life so sublime? Because one then has the capacity to know themselves. A person's duty is to find out who they are. If a person does not use this birth to understand their own inner consciousness, then they've wasted a life. At this auspicious trip to New York with Guru Mai and seeing Venkapad, it would be my last physical meeting with him. He was the one person who gave me unconditional love without expecting anything in return. He meant so much to me. Years passed by and my parents came to Florida to visit me. I'd built a cottage, a guest house, behind my main house where they loved to stay. One afternoon, my mom and I were working out in the garden, weeding and planting flowers in the front yard. My dad was sitting on the front porch in a rocking chair, watching and giving us loving advice. He had always planted gardens wherever we lived. He loved working with the soil and growing his own vegetables. But he was getting older now, and so he just sat and watched us rocking in the rocking chair. As it was getting late, I cleaned up the area and placed the cuttings in a big garbage container so the weekly collectors could pick them up in the morning. As I turned to go in the house, as the sun was setting, there was a shot of light that appeared. I turned back to see it, and it was as if a finger was pointing to the large container I just put by the road. I could see something was shining, just a small piece coming out from beneath the lid. I walked back to look and was shocked. It was my gold bracelet Venkapad Anna had gifted me. There was just an inch showing. I could feel Anna's presence strongly, as if he were there. It must have fallen off my wrist when I was loading the yard cuttings to be thrown away. I was so thankful. It's hard to describe how I felt at that discovery. We all have a story to tell, a book to write. Some days are enjoyable and you never want them to end, reliving them over and over again. There's also those chapters you want to skip ahead altogether, but that's not how it works. Each day is a chance to recreate yourself, writing your own script, refreshing your mind like a computer. You are that powerful. Create the life you deserve and make this short life a meaningful one. If it can happen to me, I know it can happen for anyone. Especially now, during these trying, unforeseeable times, we all tend to be fearful and let our minds lock into the problems around us. This is only natural. But from Baba, I've learned that it's my choice of what I want my mind to dwell on. Don't lose courage if along the way you meet people who judge or gossip about you. Their opinions aren't your problems. As you stay committed to love and kindness, it won't matter. The beauty of your truth will shine forth. As you feel it on the inside, it shows on the outside. It lights up your whole being. So conquer with love. I hope you've enjoyed listening to my experiences and hearing about some of the small miracles I've been fortunate to have. To those few who find worth in my words, then I have achieved a lot. While I'm sharing them, I'm re-experiencing them all over again, feeling my heart fill with great love and joy. So I'm also thankful to you too for this experience. Sadhguru Nath Maharaj Ki Jai. Dhanyavad, Gurudev.